Hello, everyone, and welcome to Battle of the Beast Insects Only, episode number 12. 12 episodes in, and we're at the semi finals. So, with that, we have 4 beasts left in the running to become the winner of season 5 of Battle of the Beasts. And here we got the first battle of the semi finals, where we have represented Series 22, the Lost Beast Makai, the killer of Lipida, the Shadow Fiend, back in the quarterfinals, and skipped round 1. We have Larnak, the Swarming Menace, versus her opponent, the killer of Sting, the Scorpion Man, from round 1, and then Amictus, the Bug Queen, in round 2. This beast was probably the most surprising beast to make it into the semi-finals, but more than rightfully earned her spot there. I am, of course, talking about Skolo, the Bladed Monster. So, Larnak versus Skolo. Honestly, a very interesting matchup, if you ask me. And both of them deserve to be here. I'm actually really happy with this matchup, and by process elimination, we know what the other matchup is. I'll be recording that battle right after this one. But first, we've got to do this one. So let's get to the stats so we can find out more about these beasts. Larnak the Swarming Menace. This giant locust-like beast has 6 jointed legs and 2 pairs of wings. Her segmented body has a hard exoskeleton with arrow-like spines. Her feet secrete an oozing substance that traps her victims like glue, before Larnak wraps them in a cocoon until she is ready to devour them. Age 328, power 262, magic level 153, fright factor 95, size 271. Powers and abilities: Locust Physiology, Reformation and Deformation, Flight, Adhesive Breath and Manipulation, Natural Armor and Natural Weaponry. Minions: Locusts. Weaknesses: Armor Limit. Skolo the Bladed Monster. If it had not been for Avantia's ruler, King Hugo, being infected with the rare, deadly Scolodine poison, Tom would not have had to venture into the Darkmoor Caves in search of an antidote. And 'tis possible that this giant steel-winged centipede beast would have remained unseen in her lair for many, many years. Age 392, power 285, magic level 183, fright factor 94, size 297. Powers and abilities: Adhesive Breath, Natural Weaponry, likely Scolodine Immunity. Weaknesses: cannot fit in small spaces. Okay, so we have the stats sorted with Larnak versus Skolo. This battlefield, I'm going to say I don't know. Let's go with the cave arena. I like to at least use that. I like to use that arena at least once per round, and I already have a arena set in mind for the next battle. So yeah, we'll use the cave arena. We're going to have water coming out. We're going to change up the cave arena first of all. We're going to have water coming out from some parts around the side of the arena and going into holes into the bottom at the cave floor, so it's not flooding the arena. But we just got flowing water going down the walls, as well as that river still going through the middle of the arena. So that, Larnak versus Skolo. Let's get into this. As the chamber doors open, Skolo immediately bursts out of the chamber, goes into the centre of the arena, curls herself up, and roars into the arena. So loudly, in fact, that you can see the stalactites at the top of the cave start to shake, and the cave is rumbling. On the other side, though, nothing comes out. But then the spectators look over and see that a whole swarm of locusts are just making their way along the cave wall and working their way around the entire arena until one locust gives the command and all the locusts charge down directly at the same time towards Skolo. Skolo has her vision completely shrouded by these locusts, where she's violently turning her head around, using her wings to slice at any locusts by chance, bite down on any locusts, trying to fight them all off. Eventually, she makes her way out of the swarm and she turns around to see Larnak in all her glory. Skolo immediately shoots an adhesive at Larnak, where it lands on Larnak's chest as it's spreading around her. Larnak goes into a swarm mode as the locusts which were caught in the adhesive fall to the ground. The rest of Larnak reforms up, and Larnak then throws her claws forward, throwing forward some adhesive, but also shoots adhesive from her mouth, which the flung adhesive doesn't touch Skolo at all. But the adhesive which Larnak shoots from her mouth lands on Skolo's armor on her forehead, which spreads around to her. Skolo, ignoring that, shoots another adhesive towards Larnak as she makes her way towards her. Larnak takes the adhesive to her chest again and charges up towards Skolo, where Skolo turns around violently to try and slice through Larnak. She does, slicing right through Larnak, but the locusts reform up there, and the part of the locust which were caught in the adhesive from Skolo fall to the ground again. Skolo doesn't waste any time, lifts up a tail and smashes both of the adhesive piles, which kills the locusts. Larnak, still fully formed, pins herself directly on Skolo, on behind Skolo, pinning her down to the ground. Skolo, writhing around, trying to break herself free, is struggling, but uses her tail and wraps it around Larnak's tail and pulls violently, pulling Larnak's tail clean off. Skolo then gets the idea where she does the same thing again and keeps pulling at Larnak until not enough locusts are strong enough to push her down. Skolo is able to break free from that right as Larnak shoots another adhesive, which wraps around her neck, binding her to the floor, but Skolo is able to just break free from that before it solidifies. She gets to a safe distance, shoots a bunch of adhesive from her mouth towards Larnak. Larnak goes into her swarm form, trying to avoid as much adhesive as possible, whilst some locusts are being caught in the adhesive, binded to the wall or the floor, like that. Larnak swarms in swarm form, flies up towards Skolo. Skolo, not backing down though, continues to fire adhesive whilst using her tail to wrap around a stalactite. She snaps it off, a cave spike on the wall. She snaps it off and lunges it towards Larnak as Larnak forms up right in front of Skolo. The stalactite penetrates right through Larnak's head. Larnak screeches in pain as Skolo is looking at Larnak screeching. She sees that the locusts temporarily lose form of the whole Larnak body as the stalactite starts to slowly fall through the body. Skolo then gets the idea and pulls the stalactite out of Larnak's body, out of Larnak's head, and turns it around and takes a deep breath, shoots adhesive at Larnak, pushing Larnak back as Larnak sorting that out, and using the stalactite that she has wrapped around her tail, she stabs it into herself. She screeches louder than what Larnak has screeched, loud enough for Larnak to completely deform up, losing concentration. And Skolo used that to her advantage, shoots a bunch of adhesive, which, because of how close the locusts are together, shoots right through the swarm of Larnak, but pins tons of locusts to the wall where they'll suffocate. When Larnak eventually gets her bearings, she looks at herself to see that she is half the size of what she was when she started. Skolo then charges up towards her, pulling the stalactite out of her body, giving a screech in the process, causing Larnak to lose herself a bit, and then lifting up the stalactite, pins it right through the top of Larnak's head, pinning her down to the ground. Larnak uses her wings to try and fly up, going round to the stalactite, and Skolo was ready for that. Using her tail, she batters Larnak away, pushing her towards the cave roof, which violently hits the roof. As she makes her way down, the stalactite starts to wobble at the top. And Skolo sees that and decides that she needs to do that again. So she taunts Larnak to come closer. Skolo, teasing her. Larnak charges up towards her, fully enraged now, ready to just kill this beast. Skolo, being very defensive of her underbelly, waits for Larnak to get close, and using the same stalactite, she stabs herself again in a different spot, screeches in pain as Larnak is losing herself again, but still flying towards her. Skolo moves out of the way for Larnak to crash into the floor. As Larnak regains herself, Skolo then uses the stalactite and pins her wing, one of Larnak's wings, right to the ground. And then quickly Skolo uses her tail and smashes it against the cave wall as the stalactites wobble and drop. Larnak doesn't notice that and is about to swarm up when Skolo shoots a bunch of adhesive at Larnak's back, which covers up the entirety of Larnak's back. As the stalactites fall, they bounce right off Skolo's shell, but the stalactites that hit Larnak penetrate right through Skolo's adhesive, pinning Larnak down completely. Larnak tries to swarm up, and only a few locusts are able to escape, but the other locusts, which are trapped in that adhesive and pinned down, Skolo lifts up her tail and smashes them, shattering the body of Larnak. The rest of the locusts pair up to form only a very small Larnak, in which Skolo looks at it completely unamused and shoots an adhesive straight at it, pinning it against the wall, killing it instantly. Skolo looks around, listens very carefully for any other sign of a locust. Nothing. She makes her way back to her chamber, satisfied with this victory. So with that, Skolo has won, Larnak has lost. You think Larnak should win, please comment below. You think that how my word's final and Skolo's moving on to the finals. Oh, I actually thought Larnak was going to win this fight. Okay, so they're both of these species, I would say, are relatively cunning. However, Skolo, I would say, is more cunning because she's used to living in a cave. So that is one aspect. She's experienced with fighting in a cave. And having a metallic armor, the stalactites won't be able to pierce it. Stone versus metal would win. So they both had the adhesive ability, which I would say counteracts each other. But then you got the swarming ability, which should give Larnak the advantage, right? But then, as I established in Larnak's previous battle, if a beast screeches loud enough, then they're going to lose concentration. So, and with that, Skolo could use that to her advantage. She noticed that when Larnak got inflicted pain on from Skolo's hits. Skolo sees that and decides that she needs to ensure that Larnak loses concentration. So for that, she had to be the one that does that loud screech. And doing that, she inflicted pain on herself, which was a risky move, but as you can see, it paid off, which she was able to instantly turn Larnak into her own personal ragdoll. And seeing the stalactite shake after impact, she then used that to her advantage as well. She literally used this arena as a weapon against Larnak. And at this point, I'm thinking, was it worth mentioning the water that was coming down the side of the arena? But no, wasn't needed. So, yeah, Skolo defeated Larnak. I am actually really impressed about that, actually. I was expecting Larnak to win, but no, Skolo won that fight. Okay, so yeah, Skolo's moving on to the finals. Larnak is the semi-finalist and is no longer in the tournament. And for that, we have our first finalist. But who is her opponent? Will it be the dreaded bone spider or the winged terror? But we'll find out in the next episode. But for now, that's all she wrote for this battle. And for that, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe. If you feel Larnak should have won, please leave in the comments below why you think that, as I said. Also, how would you do the battle? This is ultimately how I done the battle, simply by the top of my head. So it could have gone completely different, but it didn't. But I'd love to see how you personally do the battle. For that, peace out.